Captain James stood at the window of the United Nations military base, his eyes fixed on the cloudy morning sky. The weight of his pressed uniform felt heavier today than usual. This wasn't just another military exercise or diplomatic meeting. This was humanity's first official contact with an alien civilization. "Sir, they're entering the atmosphere," reported Tom, the base's head weapons expert. His voice carried a mix of excitement and worry as he studied the radar readings on his tablet. The clouds parted, revealing 3 silver ships descending from the heavens. They moved with impossible grace, making no sound as they approached the landing zone. Each ship was shaped like a perfect teardrop, their surfaces gleaming under the morning sun. They were beautiful, James thought, but also terrifying in their perfection. General Miller walked up beside James, his face stern. "Remember, Captain, you're our military representative for this meeting. The politicians will handle the talking, but the aliens specifically requested to inspect our defensive capabilities." James nodded, keeping his expression neutral. "Yes, sir. Though I can't shake the feeling they're here to judge more than inspect." The ships landed in perfect formation on the massive concrete pad. No jets of fire, no landing gear, no visible means of propulsion at all. They simply stopped in midair and settled down like feathers falling on still water. A crowd had gathered, military personnel, government officials, and a select group of journalists kept at a safe distance. The air buzzed with whispers and the clicking of cameras. The front ship's surface rippled like mercury, and a doorway simply appeared. Out stepped 3 figures that made everyone watching catch their breath. They were tall, at least 7 feet in height, with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Their movements were fluid, almost like they were floating rather than walking. The alien in front wore what appeared to be a military uniform, though it looked more like flowing metal than fabric. This was Commander Val, their military attaché, according to the briefing files. As the diplomatic team stepped forward to greet them, James studied the aliens' body language. Despite their alien nature, he could read one emotion clearly: contempt. Every gesture, every movement screamed it. "Welcome to Earth," the UN Secretary-General said, stepping forward with open arms. "We are honored to host representatives of the Star Empire." Commander Val's translator device hummed to life. "The honor," the alien said, voice tripping with barely concealed mockery, "is all yours." Their eyes swept across the gathered humans, pausing briefly on the military personnel. "We have reviewed your civilization's broadcasts. Your level of technology is quaint." James felt his jaw tighten, but maintained his composure. The aliens' technological superiority was obvious. Their ships alone demonstrated that. But there was something about their arrogance that made his skin crawl. "We are particularly interested in examining your military capabilities," Commander Val continued, gesturing at the various vehicles and aircraft visible on the base. "Though I must admit, we find it amusing that you still rely on chemical propellants and crude projectiles." The UN officials shifted uncomfortably, but James stepped forward, keeping his voice level. "We would be happy to demonstrate our capabilities, Commander." Val's lips curved into what might have been a smile, but looked more like a sneer. "Oh yes, we insist on a demonstration. It should be entertaining." The alien turned to address the gathered crowd. "The Star Empire has brought peace to 1,000 worlds through our superior military might. We hope Earth will be wise enough to recognize the benefits of our protection." The threat in those words was clear as crystal. James caught Tom's eye across the gathering, and his weapons expert gave him a subtle nod. They both knew what this was, not a diplomatic meeting, but a show of force. As the aliens moved toward the base's main building, James watched them carefully. They were powerful, advanced, and clearly used to getting their way. But they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated humanity before they even gave them a chance. And if there was one thing Captain James knew about human history, it was that underestimating humans was always a dangerous mistake. The main conference room of the UN military base buzzed with tension. Captain James watched as Commander Val paced in front of the large display screen, the alien's silvery skin reflecting the fluorescent lights above. "Let us be clear," Val said, their translator device making the words sound almost musical. "We believe a proper demonstration of our different military capabilities would help Earth understand its position in the galactic community." General Miller leaned forward in his chair. "You're proposing a weapons demonstration competition." "Indeed." Val's lips curved into that same superior smile. "We will show you our standard weapons, and you will show us yours." Though the alien paused for effect. "I doubt your weapons will be very impressive." James felt his hands tighten into fists under the table. Next to him, Tom was furiously taking notes on his tablet. The alien delegation set up their demonstration in the outdoor testing range. 3 of their warriors stepped forward, each carrying what looked like slim silver rods. Without warning, one of them pointed their weapon at a target dummy 100 yards away. A beam of pure light shot out, and the dummy simply disappeared, leaving nothing but a few wisps of smoke. The gathered human officials muttered in amazement. James studied the weapon carefully, noting how it took 3 seconds to power up before firing. "That was our basic infantry weapon," Val announced proudly. "Now for something more impressive." The next demonstration involved their shield technology. An alien warrior stood still while another fired their energy weapon directly at them. The beam struck a shimming barrier of light and dissipated harmlessly. "Our personal shields make us virtually invincible," Val boasted. "They can stop any energy weapon in the known galaxy." The final demonstration was their heavy weapon, a plasma cannon that melted through a steel wall like it was butter. The heat was so intense that the human observers had to step back several yards. When it was over, Commander Val turned to the human delegation with an expectant look. "And now, what will Earth show us?" James stepped forward. "We accept your challenge, Commander, but we have a condition. We choose the target, and we choose the weapon." Val laughed, a strange tinkling sound. "Of course. Show us your best weapon. Show us what primitive explosives and projectiles can do against our technology." The alien commander was practically bouncing with amusement as James walked to the weapons locker. The humans in the crowd held their breath, wondering what he would choose. Would it be a missile? A tank? Some secret military prototype? Instead, James emerged carrying what looked like an old rifle. It was the Barrett M82, a .50 caliber sniper rifle that had been in service for decades. Several military officials looked confused, but Tom's face broke into a knowing grin. "This?" Val asked, genuine confusion in their voice. "This is your choice. A primitive projectile weapon that uses, what do you call it? Gunpowder?" "Yes," James said simply. "This is our choice." Val's laughter echoed across the testing range. "Very well. We will make this interesting." The alien commander turned to their warriors. "Lieutenant Ricks, step forward. Show them our most powerful personal shield. Let them waste their time trying to breach it." A tall warrior stepped forward, activating a shield that glowed brighter than the others they had demonstrated. Ricks stood proud, chest puffed out, clearly enjoying the moment. James loaded a single round into the rifle, the metallic click somehow louder than all the alien weapon demonstrations combined. The human officials watched nervously, some looking embarrassed, others curious. "One shot," James said quietly. "That's all we need." Val's smile grew even wider. "Oh, this will be entertaining indeed. Please, Captain, show us what your best bullet can do against our most advanced defensive technology." As James took his position behind the rifle, he caught Tom's eye. His weapons expert gave him a subtle thumbs up. They both knew something the aliens didn't. Sometimes the simplest solution was the best one. After the aliens' demonstration, Captain James and Tom walked quickly to the base's weapons lab. They had 1 hour before the human demonstration would begin, and they needed to make every minute count. "Did you see it?" Tom asked, pulling up video footage on the main screen. When their weapons fired, there was a delay. The shield took almost half a second to react to the energy blast. James nodded, checking the Barrett M82 rifle carefully. Their entire defensive system is built around stopping energy weapons. They'd probably never faced anything different. The door opened, and General Miller walked in, his face grim. "We just got the intelligence report. The Star Empire has been doing this on every planet they visit. They show off their technology, make everyone feel inferior, then offer their protection. Those who refuse." He paused, letting the words hang in the air. "They conquer them," James finished. He picked up a .50 caliber round from the table, holding it up to the light. It looked so simple compared to the alien weapons, just brass and lead shaped by human hands. Tom pulled up more data on his screen. "Look at this, sir. Their shield technology works by detecting energy signatures and creating a counterfield. But a bullet? It's just a piece of metal moving really fast. No energy signature to detect." James smiled. It wasn't a happy smile, but a determined one. They've gotten so focused on advancing their energy weapons that they've forgotten the basics of physics. Kinetic energy can be just as deadly as any laser. In the corner of the lab, a TV was showing news coverage of the alien visit. Reporters were already talking about the primitive state of Earth's military compared to the Star Empire. Some were suggesting immediate surrender would be the wisest choice. "The whole world is watching," General Miller said quietly. "If we fail here—" "We won't fail," James interrupted, his voice firm. He field-stripped the rifle with practiced ease, checking every component. "They think they're so advanced, but they've fallen into the oldest trap in warfare, underestimating their opponent." Tom was running calculations on his computer. The M82 fires around at about 2,800 feet per second. Their shield takes half a second to react. Even if they detect the bullet coming, it'll be too late, James finished. He reassembled the rifle, each click and snap echoing in the quiet lab. Their shield would need to react 100 times faster to stop a bullet. Through the window, they could see the alien ships gleaming in the sunlight. More Star Empire officials had arrived to watch the demonstration. They were walking among the human observers, their body language radiating amusement and condescension. "Captain," General Miller said, "if this works, we'll be painting a target on ourselves. They won't take humiliation lightly." James loaded a single round into the magazine. "With all due respect, sir, we already have a target on us. At least this way, we show them we're not as helpless as they think." Tom finished his calculations and looked up. "Everything checks out, Captain. The bullet will move faster than their shield can possibly react, as long as your aim is true." "My aim is always true," James said quietly. He'd been a marksman for 20 years. This might be the most important shot of his life, but it was far from the most difficult. They watched through the window as Lieutenant Ricks practiced activating his shield, showing off for the gathered crowd. The alien warrior was treating this like a joke, a simple entertainment before the inevitable conquest began. "It's time," General Miller said, checking his watch. James picked up the rifle, feeling its familiar weight. This weapon had served humanity well for decades, through countless conflicts. Now it would serve them one more time, not against other humans, but against an alien threat that thought Earth would be an easy conquest. "Let's go teach them why humans survived every threat we've ever faced," James said, walking toward the door. "And why underestimating us is always a fatal mistake." The afternoon sun beat down on the testing range as hundreds of observers gathered to watch the human weapons demonstration. News cameras pointed at the target area, broadcasting the event worldwide. The Star Empire had allowed this public display, clearly expecting Earth's humiliation to be complete. Lieutenant Ricks stood at the designated spot, his silver skin gleaming. The alien warrior kept activating and deactivating his shield, creating ripples of light that drew gasps from the crowd. Each time the shield flickered on, it glowed brighter than before. "Impressive, isn't it?" Commander Val asked the gathered human officials. This shield can stop a blast from our heaviest weapons. We once tested it against the combined fire of 3 warships. The alien's voice carried both pride and mockery. Captain James knelt at his position, setting up the Barrett 82 with careful, practiced movements. Tom stood nearby with a tablet, monitoring wind conditions and distance. The target was set at exactly 500 yards, a moderate range for a skilled marksman. "Captain," General Miller's voice came through his earpiece. "The UN Security Council is watching. The whole world is watching. No pressure." Despite the serious situation, James could hear a hint of humor in the general's voice. James didn't respond. His entire world had narrowed down to the rifle scope and the target beyond. He could hear the aliens chattering among themselves, making jokes in their musical language that the translators didn't bother to convert. "Are you certain you wouldn't prefer to surrender now?" Commander Val called out. "It would save us all some time." Several alien officials laughed, the sound like tinkling bells. Lieutenant Ricks spread his arms wide, making himself an even bigger target. "I will not even feel it." The alien warrior boasted. "Our shields are perfect." James finished his preparations and looked up. "We're ready." Commander Val stepped forward, raising their hands for silence. Gathered representatives of Earth and the Star Empire, we are about to witness humanity's best attempt to breach our defensive technology. While the outcome is predictable, we appreciate their willingness to demonstrate their capabilities. The alien commander turned to James. "You may fire when ready, Captain. Try not to feel too disappointed when nothing happens." The crowd fell silent. James could feel hundreds of eyes on him, human and alien alike. He took a deep breath, then slowly let it out as he had done thousands of times before. Through his scope, he could see every detail of the alien shield. It looked like a soap bubble made of light, distorting the air around Lieutenant Ricks. The alien warrior stood perfectly still, his expression one of absolute confidence. "Wind speed steady at 3 knots, Tom reported quietly. "Temperature and humidity nominal. Everything is perfect." James's finger rested lightly on the trigger. In this moment, he wasn't just a soldier. He was humanity's representative, about to show an advanced alien civilization that technology wasn't everything. Commander Val had moved to stand near Lieutenant Ricks, clearly wanting to be close enough to see the human weapon fail. Other alien officials crowded nearby, their translators turned off as they made what had to be jokes about Earth's primitive weapons. "Remember," Tom whispered, "their shield needs an energy signature to react. A simple bullet is just mass and velocity." James took one final breath. 20 years of training, countless hours of practice, all leading to this moment. The fate of Earth might not rest on this single shot, but it would certainly set the tone for humanity's relationship with the Star Empire. "Whenever you're ready, Captain," General Miller said softly in his ear. "Show them what humanity can do." The world seemed to slow down as James's finger tightened on the trigger. In the scope, he could see Lieutenant Ricks's smirking face behind the shimmering shield. The alien was about to learn a lesson that countless others had learned throughout history. Never underestimate a human with a gun. Time seemed to slow down as Captain James squeezed the trigger. The Barrett 82 roared to life, its deep boom echoing across the testing range. The recoil pushed against his shoulder with familiar force. In the milliseconds that followed, several things happened at once. The .50 caliber round left the barrel at 2,800 feet per second, creating a small sonic boom as it broke the sound barrier. The bullet spun through the air, following the perfect trajectory James had calculated. Lieutenant Ricks's shield sparkled in the sunlight, its advanced alien technology trying to detect any incoming energy signature. But there was none to detect, just a simple piece of metal moving at incredible speed. Commander Val's expression began to change from amusement to confusion. The alien leader had just started to realize that something was different about this weapon. There was no energy beam, no plasma discharge, no visible sign of the attack at all. The bullet reached the shield before anyone could blink. There was no resistance, no flash of energy, no dramatic explosion. The round passed through the impenetrable alien shield as if it wasn't there at all. Physics, in its simplest form, proved more powerful than the most advanced alien technology. The bullet struck the metal target stand behind Lieutenant Ricks, missing the alien's shoulder by exactly 1 inch, exactly where James had aimed. The impact created a shower of sparks and left a clean hole through the solid steel. For one long moment, absolute silence fell over the testing range. Lieutenant Ricks stood frozen, eyes wide with shock. The alien warrior slowly turned to look at the hole in the target stand, then at the shield still shimming uselessly around him. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Commander Val's silver skin had turned almost white. The alien leader stared at the shield, then at the simple rifle in James's hands, then back at the shield. Their translator device emitted several confused chirps before falling silent. The human observers burst into cheers and applause. News reporters began speaking rapidly into their cameras, trying to describe what they had just witnessed. General Miller stood with his arms crossed, a small smile on his face. "How?" Lieutenant Ricks finally managed to say, his translator making the words sound strangled. "Our shields are perfect. They stop everything." Tom stepped forward, holding up his tablet. "They stop energy weapons," he explained calmly. "Your shields detect energy signatures and create counterfields. But a bullet? It's just a piece of metal moving really fast. No energy signature to detect, no way to stop it." Commander Val walked slowly to the target stand, reaching out to touch the hole left by the bullet. Their hand was trembling. "In all our conquests, in all our battles, no one has ever, we never considered. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one," James said, standing up and slinging the rifle over his shoulder. "Humanity learned that lesson a long time ago." The other alien officials were backing away from the target area, their previous arrogance replaced by obvious fear. Some were speaking rapidly into their communication devices, probably reporting back to their superiors about this unexpected development. General Miller addressed Commander Val directly. "Still think our weapons are primitive?" The alien commander turned to face the human delegation. The mockery was gone from their voice, replaced by something that sounded very much like respect. "We may have been hasty in our assessment of Earth's military capabilities." James looked at the smoking hole in the target stand, then at the gathered aliens. "This was just one shot," he said quietly, "with one old rifle. Would you like to see what our more advanced weapons can do?" The silence that followed was deafening. The Star Empire had arrived expecting to find another primitive civilization to conquer. Instead, they had just learned that humanity's primitive weapons could bypass their best defenses with ease. And this was only the beginning of their education about what humans were capable of. The next 24 hours at the UN military base were chaos. Emergency meetings filled every conference room. Alien ships arrived and departed constantly, bringing more Star Empire officials to witness the weapon demonstration for themselves. Captain James sat in the main briefing room, watching as Tom showed the slow-motion video of the shot for the 20th time. Every time the bullet passed through the shield, the alien observers flinched. "Impossible," one of the new alien officials muttered. "Our shields are based on technology developed over 1,000 years. They cannot be defeated by a bullet," James finished for him. "Sometimes the old ways work best." Commander Val had not left the base since the demonstration. The alien leader's previously perfect posture was now slightly hunched, the weight of this massive failure visible in every movement. "Our entire defense strategy," Val said quietly, "all our military doctrine, it's based on energy weapons and shields. Every civilization we encountered used energy weapons. We never thought." The alien commander paused, looking physically ill. General Miller leaned forward. "You never thought to check if your defenses could stop simple physical projectiles. You got so focused on advancing your technology that you forgot the basics. On the various screens around the room, news channels from around the world were showing the footage. The shot had been seen by billions. Some called it humanity's finest moment. Others worried it would lead to war. But everyone agreed. Earth would never be seen as primitive again. Tom pulled up new data on the main screen. We've analyzed your shield technology more thoroughly now, he explained to the alien delegation. It's incredibly advanced at stopping energy weapons, but it has other vulnerabilities too. Not just bullets. Any pure kinetic weapon would work. Lieutenant Ricks, who had insisted on staying to learn more, looked devastated. How many of these weapons do humans have? James couldn't help but smile. How many bullets? Billions, and that's just one type of kinetic weapon. We have many others. A new alien official burst into the room, their translator squawking with panic. The Galactic Council is demanding answers. 3 other species we've conquered are asking for demonstrations of human weapons. The entire power structure of the Star Empire is at risk. Commander Val stood up slowly. We made a critical error. We assumed technological advancement only moved in one direction, toward energy weapons and force fields. We never considered. They gestured helplessly at the rifle, which sat innocently on a nearby table. Never considered that sometimes the simple solution is the best one, James finished. Humanity learned that lesson through centuries of warfare. Every new technology creates new vulnerabilities. That's why we keep our old weapons alongside our new ones. The room fell silent as a new message appeared on the main screen. It was from the Star Empire's highest council, marked as maximum priority. General Miller read it aloud. All conquest operations are suspended. Immediate diplomatic negotiations with Earth are authorized. Technical exchange is approved. He looked up at Commander Val. Seems your superiors are taking this seriously. They should, Val replied, sounding tired. Your primitive weapons, as we foolishly call them, could defeat every ship in our fleet, every soldier's shield, every defense we've built. We thought we were coming to conquer Earth. The alien commander looked directly at James. Instead, we're having to rewrite our entire understanding of warfare. As the discussions continued around him, James thought about the single bullet that had changed everything. One shot had not just protected Earth, it had shaken an interstellar empire to its foundations. The Star Empire had arrived expecting to find primitives. Instead, they found humans. And humans, as countless others had learned throughout history, were anything but primitive when it came to warfare. 1 month after the famous shot that changed everything, Captain James stood in front of an unusual audience. The classroom at the UN military base was filled with alien military officers from the Star Empire, all eagerly taking notes as he spoke. The history of human warfare, James explained, pointing to the presentation screen, is a history of constant adaptation. Every new technology creates new threats and new defenses, but we learn to keep the old ways too, because sometimes they work best. Commander Val sat in the front row, no longer showing any trace of their former arrogance. The alien leader had become one of Earth's strongest advocates in the Galactic Council. Your projectile weapons, Val said, raising a hand. They're so simple, yet they changed the balance of power in the entire galaxy. How did we miss this? Tom, standing at the back of the room, answered that one. You got caught in a technological bubble. Every species you met used energy weapons, so you only developed defenses against energy weapons. Nobody thought to try anything different. On the screens around the room, news reports showed the changes happening across the galaxy. The Star Empire had withdrawn from 3 conquered worlds already. Other alien species were reaching out to Earth, eager to learn about these primitive weapons that could bypass the most advanced shields. But it's not just about the weapons, James continued. It's about thinking differently. Humans have learned to solve problems in many ways, not just with technology. Lieutenant Ricks, who had become something of a celebrity in the Star Empire for surviving the shot, nodded in agreement. We thought advancing technology meant leaving the old ways behind. We were wrong. The door opened, and General Miller walked in with several high-ranking alien officials. They were carrying what looked like a peace treaty. "The final agreement is ready," Miller announced. "Earth will share its military knowledge with the Star Empire, and in return, they'll share their space travel technology. A fair exchange between equals." James looked at the alien officers in his classroom. Just a month ago, they had thought humans were primitives to be conquered. Now they sat here taking notes, learning about Earth's military history with genuine respect. "There's an old human saying," James told them. "Pride goes before a fall. Your empire thought it was invincible because of its advanced technology. But you forgot something important." "What did we forget?" one of the alien officers asked. "That true advancement comes from keeping what works, not just chasing what's new. A bullet might be simple, but it can still change the world, or in this case, the galaxy." Commander Val stood up, addressing the class. "When we came to Earth, we thought we were superior. We thought our technology made us invincible. One human captain with an old rifle proved us wrong." The alien leader turned to James. "We owe Earth a debt. You didn't just show us our weakness, you showed us a better way." As the class ended, James watched the alien officers examining the Barrett M82 rifle displayed in a case on the wall. The weapon that had changed everything looked so simple next to their advanced technology. But that was the lesson they had learned. Sometimes the simple solution was the best one. General Miller joined him by the window. Outside, human and alien ships sat side by side on the landing field. "Did you ever think," the general asked, "that one shot would lead to all this?" James smiled, watching as Earth's first faster-than-light ship was being built with Star Empire technology. "No, sir, but that's another human lesson they're learning. Never underestimate what one small action can do." The sun set over the base, marking the end of another day in this new era of human history. Humanity had faced its first alien challenge and proved itself not just equal, but in some ways superior. Not because of advanced technology, but because of something more important: the wisdom to know that progress doesn't always mean forgetting the past. The Star Empire had come to conquer Earth. Instead, they had become its students. And that, perhaps, was the greatest victory of all.